Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. Want to go over a ton of information in today's video, including seemingly Valve wanting to go back to Steam operating system at some point. Yes, some of you guys might not even know what the Steam OS entails. Valve created their own operating system in the Steam OS. However, they kind of backed off of it for quite a while, and I want to go over all the details on that. Thanks to Gaming on Linux for that information. We'll go over their article, and I'll leave a link to it in the description box as well. We've got some updated information on Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. The release date has been changed, but don't worry, it's not a delay. The game is actually being released a day early, and we've got a ton of information. There's going to be a launch day discount and much more, so we'll go over that. And Doom Eternal has broken franchise record for opening weekend sales, so very good for that game. We'll talk that at the end of this video. First up, as noted by Gaming on Linux, Steam OS, the Valve-made Linux distribution that was originally for the failed Steam Machine initiative, has gradually vanished into the sidelines, but it seems that won't be forever. A while ago, we did see indications that Valve would work on Steam OS 3.0 Clockwork back in 2018, but they've still been very quiet on it since, apart from a few minor packages, update to Steam OS 2 Brewmaster, Valve have been extremely active on other fronts, though. Of course, as a quick bit of history, for Linux, they put out Steam Play Proton, the ACO shader compiler for AMD, this new Steam Linux runtime container system, the microcompositor gamer scope, and there's more, with people working on all sorts of other contract for Valve to improve Linux. Still, there's a lot of talk about Steam OS, and just the idea of something being called Steam operating system, that's going to inherently have a lot of attention surrounding it. Still, Steam OS, though, what are Valve going to do with it? Sounds like when they get back to it eventually, it might not be the Debian based. In a GitHub issue on the Steam OS page about it languishing, another user replied with an email directly from a Valve developer noting, yes, definitely, lots of work still going on. Right now, the focus is on core technology itself rather than distributing it, but we intend to get back into that in the future. I wouldn't expect much more development on Debian-based Brewmaster at this point, however. Liam Dodd chimed in on that, noting Debian-based Brewmaster, speculation here, but that sounds like they might be looking at a different base for whatever Steam OS 3.0 turns into. One day then, we can clearly expect to see some movement on Steam OS once Valve gets all the pieces of the Linux gaming puzzle into a state where they're truly happy with properly pushing it again. Perhaps this will be after we find out what the heck Steam Cloud Gaming turns out to be. Whatever we find out, they'll let you know over on Gaming on Linux. I'm typically not a big Linux coverage guy, but I do cover it from time to time when major things like this happen, and Steam OS still being a thing in Valve's repertoire and something that they're still continuing to work on, I feel like is pretty major news that is going to get lost in the shuffle a little bit with everything going on right now. But Steam facilitating the creation of some sort of operating system where they have another foothold in another market and another style of PC gaming and just PC building, I think that offers them a lot. If they can actually get to a point where it's a compelling piece of operating system and a compelling piece of software, then that would be a pretty big deal. However, that's the great thing about PC gaming, the options it offers, and Linux is an option that is always going to be there. Something like Steam OS, if it makes a lot of progress, that is going to be an option for you guys if you do want to utilize that. That's always been one of the key selling points of PC gaming, is the options that it offers you, not only from a software standpoint, but as minutia things like adjusting video game settings, not only to play games at max settings, but lower settings. It's stuff I've talked about in the past, but those options really are one of the benefits of PC gaming on something like Steam OS. Again, adds another layer to the availability of options to PC gamers, which is something that you guys should always be a fan of. Alright, moving on from that, I've been talking about Mount & Blade 2 so much recently that I was thinking about making a dedicated video for this, but let's just cover it here. We got a lot of early access information coming directly from Tailworld, noting with a Steam post, greetings warriors of Calradia, after 8 years of blood, sweat, and tears, Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord's early access release is finally upon us. In just a few short days, you'll be able to grit on your sword, don your armor, summon your followers, and ride forth to win glory on the battlefields of Calradia. They go over some information as far as all the events going on in the world right now. However, we have tried to make the best of a bad situation, and thankfully, with the help of our IT team, we have been able to continue work on the project from home. This has come with its own challenges, of course, but we are still very grateful and lucky to work in an industry where it's possible to work remotely, which we know isn't the case for many of you. It might seem like a pretty ideal time to release a game. After all, everyone is at home, right? But we know that the current situation has placed a lot of people in a difficult position when it comes to balancing their finances and risking their health. I think that's something that people really need to take into account. I've been seeing it so much on social media. Oh, it's a great time for video games. Everybody's at home playing video games. Well, the idea of actually buying video games, I don't know if that's going to be on everybody's top of the priority list. Maybe some people that do have additional income and they do have money saved up, whatever the case may be, they're at home more and they'll be in the market to buy a game, but I don't think that's necessarily applicable for everyone. Nonetheless, they continued, with that in mind, we have decided to make the game available for 10% off for the first 2 weeks of sale. In addition to this, anyone who owns any previous Mount & Blade title will be eligible for an additional 10% off in select digital stores. Also, you can breathe a sigh of relief because there won't be a delay. In fact, quite the opposite. We have decided to bring forward the release of the game to 10 a.m. UTC March 30th, so you know the release date and the price, but what content is included in the early access release. I want to read a little bit of that. In single player, you'll have access to custom battle and campaign game modes. Campaign is a new and somewhat more structured approach to the Mount & Blade experience that blends a storyline and key events with the traditional sandbox gameplay that our players are familiar with. Campaign aims to provide players with clear goals and missions that can lead to a successful conclusion to a playthrough. However, if you refuse to take any direction and prefer to plot your own rise to power, you can simply ignore the campaign missions and go about your own business within the single player campaign. During a campaign playthrough, you'll do most of the things you would expect from a Mount & Blade game, including creating your own character with their own backstory, exploring a vast re-envisioned continent of Calradia, hiring companions to accompany you on your journey, raising warbands and armies to devastate your enemies on the battlefield, conquering towns and castles, progressing your character skills and equipment, learning and mastering the game's much improved combat mechanics, and commanding and fighting alongside your troops, among a host of other things, many of which have been featured in previous blog posts. And while there is definitely plenty of content for players to dive into and enjoy, we must be clear in reminding you that this is an early access release. There might be bugs and glitches, there will certainly be balancing issues, some features may be missing or currently disabled, and certain aspects of the game might not receive full support until later down the line. You can expect to see reused scenes. Our eventual aim is that each town and castle will have its own unique scene, as well as other types of placeholder content such as voice lines, animations, quests, etc. So it's very much going to continue to be a work in progress, so if you're expecting any kind of finality in Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord, it's an early access game. You guys know what to expect out of early access, and Mount & Blade 2 isn't going to be any different. I just hope that we get an overall compelling experience right out of the gate, and it can improve and get better and better. Do note that the price isn't going to be seeing an alteration after the early access period into its final release. I believe it's releasing at $49.99, so you'll get a 10% off discount, 10% off more if you do own Mount & Blade, so you'll end up getting it for like $40, and then ultimately when the game comes out, you'll have it, and it will be priced the same in its full release. And that might actually make it a bit advantageous for you guys to wait until, you know, at least hearing about the game a little bit, or even waiting until its final release, because you'll still end up paying the same amount. Whatever the case may be, Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord will be arriving in early access on March 30th. It's been a long wait, but it'll finally be arriving here very, very soon. And hey, in the world of a billion games getting delayed all the times, it's nice that Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord actually had its release date moved up. That's something we don't see all too often. Alright, and lastly, I do want to note that Doom Eternal has broken franchise record for opening weekend sales. Noting Doom Eternal broke the franchise record for opening weekend sales with double the launch revenue of the 2016 release Doom. Publisher Bethesda Softworks and developer id Software announced it was also the best-selling game on Steam for its release week, surpassing north of 100,000 concurrent players on the platform, which for a game that I think the majority of people were going in for the single player campaign, that is pretty shocking. North of 100,000 people on at any time for a game is really good. A game like Doom, yeah, there was a lot of anticipation for it, but I didn't think it was going to sell this much better than the original game. Again, double the revenue of the 2016 game, and I felt like there was a considerable amount of hype for the 2016 game, but obviously for Doom Eternal, it was quite loftier, and that's great to see because Doom Eternal is a great game. If you want a visceral and gory first-person shooter, it's absolutely going to offer you that. The game is fun, it's engaging, it's challenging if you play it at the hardest difficulty, and there is a decent amount to do given that, you know, as a first-person shooter, not always the lengthiest games in the world, but Doom Eternal does offer a satisfying campaign on top of its unique multiplayer component as well. And that's going to conclude this video. Again, it seems like Valve is going to remain committed to Steam OS, and at some point they're going to go back to it and make some considerable improvements to it. I'll keep you guys posted on that. Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord release date date moved up. It'll be out on March 30th. That's great to see. And Doom Eternal has broken franchise record for opening weekend sales. That's going to conclude this video. If you guys have a request for a future video, you can always leave that in the comments section down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mush here again. Hope you enjoyed the video. As you guys might know, YouTube's notification system is sometimes a little bit wonky, even if you're subscribed to the channel. Maybe you're not abundantly aware that I uploaded a video. To remedy that situation, make sure you hit the bell notification button. This way, whenever I upload a new video, and I try to upload as consistently as possible, you will be notified directly of the upload, and you can watch it as soon as it goes live. I would really appreciate if you guys hit that button so you can stay up to date with all of the content I'm posting. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.